Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. Now you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing that. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Things First, talking about Purdy, Purdy. Despite what maybe some people want to admit, Purdy struggled against the Packers. I know this is a sensitive subject for whatever reason. And so I guess, he gave during a press conference, he talked about, you have to have a clean slate and kind of just, hit the reset button. And so I guess I haven't seen this clip and they're going to discuss that, but I just wanted to share my opinion real fast, just on specifically the clean slate thing. And well, actually, you know what? We'll just get right into it.
Weird he'd want a clean slate fresh off that.
Well, he doesn't.
It's almost like
everybody understands he didn't play.
Go ahead.
Are you willing to guarantee that Brock?
Ooh, I just want to stop that real fast because Brutus says everyone agrees that he played poorly, and actually Nick Wright did point out something. A lot of people recently have been yelling at me specifically that everyone thinks I'm a Purdy hater. I am not. I'm probably going to say some similar points here, but if not, watch my most recent First Take video where I specifically talk about my feelings on Brock Purdy, which some will probably come out here. I do not hate Brock Purdy. I think he's a really good quarterback. I'm not hating on him, but it is interesting because a lot of people, for whatever reason, think that I am a Purdy hater. And they think that, and they were coming at me saying that he didn't have a bad game. And yet now he admits that he needs to have a clean slate. So he admitted that he didn't have a good game. And so if he doesn't think he's had a good game, and you're pretty much saying that you have a different opinion than Brock Purdy's own opinion of himself. So I don't know, but yeah.
Brock Purdy, who was a sterling 23-6 in his career, who led the league in passer rating, who's undefeated in playoff games that he started and finished.
What a question.
And who's hosting a Lions defense that allowed Matthew Stafford to throw for nearly 375 yards. We haven't seen a guy like this come into the league since Tom Brady. Mr. Irrelevant, Brew, you're a guy you've ridden for him all year.
He's my guy.
Are you willing to guarantee, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that he will have just a good game?
Great question. And unfortunately for you guys, I know the history of the NFL too well. I just do.
Greg is not.
I know that in his first 9 seasons, including when he finally won his first Super Bowl, that the great Peyton Manning, hear a brother out, that the great Peyton Manning had a passer rating under 80 7 times in his first 13 playoff games. 3 times he was in the 30s. Okay? I know that John Elway, another all-time great, and Greg trying to stare me down, another all-time great, that he, 4 times in his playoff career, completed fewer than 41% of his passes. The great John Elway, in his first 9 playoff games, Wilds, first 9, he threw at least 1 interception in each game. So if I can't guarantee, I know y'all want me to be a hot take artist and just say whatever. I can't guarantee that those 2 all-time greats, Manning number 3 on this Knicks list, Elway, 6?
5 or 6.
5, 6. I'm not going to guarantee anybody except maybe Patrick Mahomes would have a great game. Now,
good game.
What I will say,
Just a good game.
What I will say is this: I firmly believe and firmly expect Brock Purdy to play very well. And as you said it, he's undefeated in the playoffs, has never thrown an interception in the postseason. And I got a graphic, brother. Look at this graphic. Under pressure, We know Goff struggles under pressure.
Yeah.
Guess who doesn't? Brock Purdy. 8 yards per attempt,
5
9
interceptions.
TDs. Goff got 8.
No, when
Goff
he's
has
trapped,
8.
it's not bad.
Right. Thank you, Nick. Passer rating, nice. 7th best under pressure in the league. Goff freaking 27. Yeah, Brock Purdy is going to deal.
You have the whole take there.
Yeah.
You got the whole.
The word guarantee. See, I used to write in the New York media, New York Times, and we always wanted to get a player to guarantee for the back page. Guarantee's a little too strong. Firmly believe, feet down, 10 toes, all that. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, then I guess I got more toes down than you. I guarantee he'll have a good game.
Oh. I thought you were going the other way.
That's supposed to trump me?
Yeah, mess you up. Didn't it?
I just cooked. You ain't trump nobody. You better keep.
Okay, that's pretty funny. That was a good take. So, where do I want to go with this one? Okay, so I want to address first the clean slate idea. I was having this discussion with someone in the comments, and they disagreed with what I was saying with regards to Purdy being able to hit the reset button. I think Purdy's going to attempt to. I think Purdy does not feel good about that Packers game. He knows it. He doesn't feel good about it. I think it's unsettling him. He doesn't have the NFL runway and experience to really be able to put that game out of his mind. Okay? Patrick Mahomes, yes. Josh Allen, even, yes. Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts just has like an incredible high sense of self-confidence in himself, so I think he lets that go too. Which is also kind of potentially a drawback of Jalen Hurts to a degree, depending on how we want to define confidence in that realm. Joe Burrow, yes. I don't think Purdy has that just yet, and that comes with a few things. It comes with one, he knows what people are saying in the NFL about, around, in the media about, is he really the reason for their success, or is it his team? Like he's not deaf to any of that. He hears it. And I think also he knows that he was drafted last, and he knows that he doesn't have some $200 million contract. Like he knows this, he feels this, he senses this, he's experiencing that pressure. And again, it's not to say that he won't succeed or thrive under those circumstances, but I do believe he feels it. And again, I think there's a lot of humbleness between, with him. And I think he's a very grounded, realistic person, and which is one of my more favorable qualities about Purdy. And so I think my guess is he's more sensitive to these types of moments. It's not to say that he's not strong, or that, again, that he can't overcome them, but I think that he's more sensitive to them. I think players like a Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, even like a Jalen Hurts, I think those moments roll off them. They're like, I am so damn good. They have that swagger. They have that confidence, whether earned or unearned. Before they even did anything, they had that swagger and confidence. And it was just like, whatever. It's like when Steph Curry airballs the three. One of the best things I learned watching even just Steph Curry and Klay Thompson playing basketball over the years is, here's Steph Curry, right? Obviously the most amazing three-point shooter, just shooter in general we've ever seen, ever, okay? And the dude airballs plenty. He airballs plenty, and it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And I just know when I'm growing up, when I was playing, anytime you airballed, you felt so dumb and stupid, and you were just like, right in that moment, you're just like, oh my God, especially if you're balling with like people that you don't really know, especially. There was the feeling of like, great, now who I'm running with, they think I can't play now, right? They think I can't ball because I just had a terrible shot. And one of the best things ever was watching Steph just airball, and then next possession up, boom, just throwing it up again. And it's like, he has that reset button. And even then, Klay has been in slumps, and even in his, like, the heart of his prime, and has talked about how, you even start to doubt yourself. You start to question it, but you just got to keep shooting and stuff like that. And that's Klay Thompson, another elite shooter. Like, he talked about having that doubt creep into him. So why do we believe that Brock Purdy, who's just now completed his first full regular season as a starter, wouldn't have any doubts? He's just doesn't have any doubts. Like, I don't believe it. I don't buy that. So I think a game like the Packers was a game that was like, again, heart beating, like, whoa, we just survived that, and if we lost that game, a lot of people would have been coming for Purdy's head. Now, I'm not saying that they would have cut him or trade him or would have said he's done. We're starting Sam Darnold now, or we're going to try to make a trade to get Dak Prescott or something. I'm not saying that, but there would have been conversations, right? Like these shows that we're watching, they would have, that's what would have dominated the cycle. It would have been Josh Allen and Brock Purdy. Those would have been the conversations. What does Brock Purdy need to do? Can the San Francisco 49ers win with Brock Purdy? That would be the conversation. And so that's what a game like the Packers does. And since they won, and that he was fortunate enough to have that game-winning drive, that really kind of swept a lot of his issues under the rug. Because what if he didn't get that 6 out of 7, well, I think it was 6 of 7 drive, right? What if it just happened that he handed the ball off a couple times and they ripped off a great big run and then they scored, right? What would you have been able to say? You wouldn't have been able to really say much of anything positive about Purdy. And so I don't want to let just one drive suddenly now erase a whole bad game. And again, you can have bad games. But the problem is that when you have a limited sample size, you're going to get criticized. And Manning got criticized for his playoff performances. You know, Manning just wasn't completely unscathed during that time. I mean, lots of players get criticized. And so that's the other thing that I don't get is that Brock Purdy, for whatever reason, when people criticize Purdy or just critique him, I don't even want to say criticize. Criticize implies that you're just saying only negatives. But just when you're critiquing and analyzing, and if you say anything less than he is elite and perfect and amazing and the best and is just going to go on to take over the world, people come at you. It's an interesting phenomenon, honestly. I'm fascinated by it. It's really, really fascinating to see why someone like Brock Purdy is so divisive, especially because he seems like an awesome person. He seems like incredibly nice and genuine and awesome. And what I also find fascinating and great is that he's white too. And because I feel as though if he was pretty much any race but white, there would have been, we would have added this unnecessary layer of like racism and stuff like that. But to me, this is such a beautiful example of that guy is as white as you can get. And yet he's still getting criticized like crazy. You know, people are still potentially holding his feet to the fire, rightfully or wrongfully, depending on the day or the game. And it's just so fascinating to see. I'm honestly all for it. I find it really, really fascinating. And I think he should have a pretty good game because I don't think Detroit is intimidating, specifically their defense in that regard. But the offensive line for the 49ers can get got. And I think we're seeing that on the more recent games of the 49ers. And that is something that Detroit could potentially expose. So that is something to be on the lookout for.
Keep coming, bro.
I guarantee he has a good game because what history tells us is when he's had a bad game, he typically bounces back. And why does he bounce back? Because his coordinator, head coach Kyle Shanahan, presents a game plan that says and suggests, wait a minute, we can't allow you to shoulder this offense. He threw the ball 39 times. That's the most he's thrown the ball in his career. And so that's not the key to their success. That's not how they thrive. They thrive by turning around, handing the ball off, establishing a running game, and allowing him to then allow the running game to open things up to where he then has everything to his in his liking. So for me, I think he will have a good game. I truly believe that he will have a good game. That's Brock Purdy bouncing back.
So that was very well done, entertaining, and great, Brew. And
I don't know if entertaining is
that's a compliment. No, listen, we're in the entertainment business. I thought that was really well done. And it also, for me, was a touch nostalgic.
Oh, why?
Because it reminded me of some of my favorite moments on this show. You were here for a lot of them. And it happened to also involve... No, I don't have a clip. It happened to also involve discussing this team in the past, where it would be us talking about a different Niners quarterback, and Brew would go through all these hurdles, explaining how, no, I'm not saying he's great. I'm not saying any of these things. However, here is a list of other greats to compare him to, a la Joe Montana or John Elway. And then at the end, twisting himself in a knot to say, but I believe. He's a winner. He'll find a way. And we all agree Brock Purdy is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Yes, right. But the reason this conversation's been so frustrating, I think, for Greg and I both, is because we dealt with, at the very least, the first cousin of this same debate with this same team, with many of the same weapons except Christian McCaffrey over the last few years. And then when it was proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that the guy who was caped for so often by the quarterback win side of the table flat couldn't play dead in a Western. What we then went to was his body gave out on him. He's the oldest 31-year-old
Was
ever.
he not injury prone his whole career?
Because
was he not? He's had like 2 full seasons in his entire career.
And so exactly, and we just let it go because he stopped becoming a relevant figure in the sports world. But what everyone agrees with, and everyone, including and this Greg Jennings, is why Niners fans have been coming after you this week. This is why Niners fans have been coming after me all year, is because they are
That's pretty cool. I can now officially say that Niners fans have been coming at me. So I just want to pause that and say, hey, that's pretty cool.
projecting. Because their greatest fear is what we are saying out loud, which is deep down, and Brew, I think, agrees with this. The Niners' biggest weakness, if you have to pinpoint one, is their quarterback. So for all the histrionics of third-team All-Pro, MVP finalist, did something Steve Young never did. If you actually talk to someone who believes in the Niners, who likes the Niners, who roots for the Niners, and you said, hey, guys, let's just go through it, the biggest weakness on the team, they might try to wiggle out of it and be like, I don't love our right guard play. But in reality, the answer is the quarterback.
No,
So, and I've addressed this before, but I want to address it here in this video specifically. Brock Purdy is undeniably the weakest link. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. That's okay. It's because of who he's around and who he's playing with. He's playing with other players, for the most part, are in their absolute prime of their physical prime, their overall athleticism prime, which is different than just your physical prime, your mental prime, your intellectual faculties, your ability to process and information at a very high rate is at its prime, and their knowledge, their experience is at a prime, right? They're at like the perfect time, like by definition, they're prime, right? That is what they are. A couple players are maybe just on the cusp of leaving that, but ever so close, but they're still at the top. Christian McCaffrey probably has maybe like, oh my God, I don't know. It feels like at any moment he could just potentially fall off just because he takes, he's such a high volume athlete. But so by nature, Brock Purdy is essentially brand new. And that doesn't mean that Brock Purdy's not good, or that he's not going to be elite, or that he's not going to be the unquestioned leader one day. It's just that he's not that today. He's just not. And again, the example that I used in a previous video is I talked about LeBron James. I said, we know LeBron James is, again, let's throw out the whole conversation if you want to debate whether LeBron James versus Michael Jordan, whatever. But LeBron James is amazing, elite, one of the greatest basketball players in the history of the universe, right? Undeniable. If he was drafted to the Lakers, for instance, right? And we're just going to make up a team. Let's just say this team existed. I know it's not actually real life before everyone freaks out. It's Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, and they draft LeBron James, okay? LeBron James would be the weak link. His first couple years, he would be the weak link of that team because of who's on that team, because of Shaq and Kobe. LeBron was not who LeBron was until 23, 24, 25, 26, I'm not exactly sure when he truly reached that next level status. He was good right from the jump, but he wasn't that next level status, right? He wasn't the number one player in the NBA within the first year of him getting there. So he would be the weak link in that situation. You would have to say LeBron James is the weak, is the weak link in this, big three team or whatever with Shaq and Kobe. Now, fast forward 5, 6, 7 years later, you wouldn't be able to say that. You wouldn't be able to just, effortlessly say, LeBron James is the weak link of that team. So it's not a slight saying that Brock Purdy is the weak link of the 49ers. It's a testament to how good that roster is and how they're all veterans and in their prime. They've been there before. They know what it's like. They've succeeded. They've failed. They've been there. Brock Purdy is in the learning stage. He's an infant in the NFL right now. And that's what he's been thrown into. So that's why it's really been a gift and a curse to be thrown into this team, because these are all such veterans that, they don't technically have anywhere near as much growth left for their maximization of their career relative to what Purdy has in front of him. And so that is why he is the weak link of this team. But again, it's not a slight at Purdy. It's not.
He is not as good of a quarterback as McCaffrey is a running back. I'll give you that. The biggest weakness is the O-line, especially without Trent Williams. Brock Purdy, even you agree.
Right.
Their offensive line, but with their offensive line is in 22nd, 21st.
I don't buy the PFF rankings.
Fine, you don't. But an objective analytical standard says they're about the 22nd best offensive line in the league.
I guess
you even say Purdy's not that low as far as a quarterback.
So here's the thing. I think the PFF rankings don't work into enough of account that if you have one of the greatest left tackles of all time, it is almost impossible to have a bad offensive line.
But you got a whole other side of the line.
But let's just, instead of arguing about the right guard and the center and the right tackle, let's set that aside. Say it's offensive line. Second biggest weakness, Brew, is the quarterback.
I mean, they don't have a weakness. Okay. No. I mean, seriously, what's the weakness? The weakness, the defense last weekend, now Purdy didn't play well, but the defense didn't either. Defense at times they got run on.
So this is where, Wilds, this is where I get frustrated at times because, like I've said before, I think credit turns into a bit of a zero-sum game. I don't think we have infinite credit. And it is not that I'm trying to tear down this quarterback for overachieving. It is that in effort to prop him up, we then tear away from actual great players.
From who?
I don't know. Fred Warner, Nicky Bosa, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave, Travarius Ward.
Fred Warner was first team All-Pro. Yeah. Bosa was they had the most Pro Bowlers in the league.
Because here's the problem.
How is that taken away from them?
The problem is that the quarterback impacts the game the greatest. You know, we know this, right? The quarterback is the most important position in like all of sports. So that's why you talk about these quarterbacks so much because of that exact reason. They especially as the rules have changed in the NFL over the years and it's become so much more offensive driven, and then also the philosophy has changed, so it's just so much more pass driven and thrown driven that the quarterback influences the game way more than say a Bosa could. And that's why things are often also skewed. It's not this game where all positions are equal. But also at the same time, any position can affect you, right? Don't you think that if the Packers had a better field goal kicker, that would have changed their destination, their destiny? And yet, there you go. That ended up being arguably the biggest moment in that game, was missing that field goal.
The team was good, but not great. They won 12 games. They weren't 15-2. They weren't juggernaut. We know they weren't perfect, right? We all agree they have the best running back. We all agree they have amazing skill position guys. We all agree they have a great tight end. They have the best left tackle in the football.
Who's taking away from that, though?
What?
You said in giving Purdy credit, we're taking away from them. They all made the Pro Bowl. A bunch of them made All-Pro.
Right.
Like nobody's they got McCaffrey's in the MVP vote for a running back.
Right now, this moment, when discussing them, you went to the defense might not be that good, but we know the defense is excellent.
No, I went to the offensive line, and then I said last week the defense didn't look good.
So
neither did Purdy.
So you're not
I don't like when you say he's their weakness. He's not a weakness. He is a strength. If you want to say,
okay, he's a weakness. It's not to say that he's the weakness. He's just technically the weakest part. Again, if you have a team with God, I don't know how I could pick players that aren't, LeBron James, Shaq, and Paul Pierce. Okay, 3 Hall of Famers, 3 winning players. Paul Pierce is the weak link on that team. That doesn't mean that Paul Pierce is a scrub and can't play. Okay, so this idea that that we can't say that, we can't have this type of conversation by using I don't know if the word weak is just too strong or too charged, or as soon as people hear the weakest link or weak, we imply that all there is weakness and no other strengths. I mean, I don't know. I think we're smart enough as a society where we can use these words and understand how to navigate them. I think we can, believe in ourselves so we don't have to just dumb down all of our conversations to the simplest form. So again, I think it is an interesting conversation to have because, as I've already explained, Purdy theoretically is the weakest link for the 49ers. And as I've said, that's okay. And that is not a slight at Brock Purdy. But what do you all think? Would love to hear your thoughts on this one. I would love to hear, wonder why you guys think Purdy gets so much back and forth. People either love him or hate him. Like, why do you think Brock Purdy, for whatever reason, is just this, this powder keg? Like, I just would love to hear your thoughts as to why, because I actually really don't know why. It's fascinating to see. But let me know in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I'd love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps with the visibility and the algorithm, and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.